Okay. I've taken over my recorded webcam spot. I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of a run analysis just to talk through the run for a couple of reasons. One, just kind of archive an explanation for how these runs go, what I'm doing, how it works. This is my current PB as of recording this of a 5603. I just got it like earlier today, like 20 minutes ago or something. I don't know. Currently uploading the video for it. And oh god, my coffee is completely cold. There's not very much left, so I'm not going to drink any more of that probably. I have water, so I'll drink that. Let's put this around here. My desk is a mess, my room is a mess, whatever. Don't pay attention to that. Let's pay attention to the run. It's a good run. 5603. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to start playing it, and I'm going to talk about a couple things. And I'm also going to talk about, I'm actually going to turn it a little bit, turn it down a bit for myself. Might make it kind of hard to hear from in the recording, but hey, if you want to go hear this run, just go watch it. So you see me at the beginning of the level doing what I've done with all my runs here. I have little arrows on my splits. Those tell me what direction the level starts in. I jump in that direction at the beginning of every level, and it gives me a little head start on every level, saves a little time. I won't go too in-depth with a lot of the things that haven't changed, especially things that haven't changed since my my tips video, which is like a 40-minute video that goes through a lot of the different strategies that I use. I had an old video that had some tips and tricks, but the video was like messed up, so I delisted that. It's still on YouTube. If you have the link for it from Discord, you can still go to it if you want it, because it has good information, but all of the same stuff is covered in the second video that I ended up posting that's just called Gauntlet Tips. And that video is, of course, tips for how this run works. So I'm not super familiar with how to use DaVinci Resolve to do this kind of stuff, but I'm kind of figuring it out here as we go along. So I actually get really lucky at the beginning of this run, even though I think my City Under Siege ends up not being an amazing split. This guy didn't hit me. He was probably, I think he was getting ready to shoot an arrow, which sometimes happens depending on your pacing. This probably happened because if we rewind, you see that I take a lot of, you know what, I'm not gonna rewind all the way. I think back, you go back, I probably took some hits. So he's just finished shooting an arrow. Maybe he wasn't like finished with his animation. Maybe he was gonna use his sword, but he just wasn't finished with the sort of end lag on his animation. So yeah, it saves a fraction of a second, even though I end up, I think, taking this a little slow. Yeah, I accidentally jump and too far. I save 0.9 over my PB, but it's nothing. It's no gold split. I think I've gotten like a 122 before or something. I don't know. So that's a small, nice change. I end up losing some time in Dungeon Passage by just playing a little slow. I was very tired. At the start of this run, I had not really ingested hardly any of my coffee yet. I had taken like one sip, and I drink my coffee throughout this run, which is why it's cold now, because this was over an hour ago. And yeah, so we have a little bit of just like sloppy play in the beginning. Like, I don't know why I'm slamming. Well, I was trying to slam to hit 2 generators, but I wasn't even coming close. I don't know what was going on in my brain. It was pretty sloppy. If you're unaware, you can do that slam attack, and it has like this long hitbox that sticks out, that purple path. You can hit multiple gens at the same time, multiple spawners. And you see me do it here. See, I hit 2, and then I hit 2 again. And then I don't know if I hit the third one over there on that last hit, but you know, maybe I did. And that just makes this room go a little bit faster. Any room where you can do that in the early portions, it makes it go a little faster. I think this is really the only room where it's useful. The room before, you can sometimes get it, but it's a little trickier. because Elf wants to make his own decisions on what direction to face sometimes, and that's a little tricky to compensate for. This was a little messy, but didn't lose any time. Just got hit by a lot of scorpions. Grab the key. I overshoot running past the by the chest for the key just because you have to wait for it to spawn anyways. I almost died too early here, which would have sucked, but then I don't, and I can take a good death warp. I get the jump into the key. Doesn't save any time. It's just nice to get. Like, realistically, I guess it just makes things simpler because you're not gonna like miss the key by running poorly. So I think I missed the jump there. You can jump during this cutscene. I've talked about it in my video before, the tips video. It's you can jump during any period where you lose control of your character to save a little bit of time. But I was honestly just taking this level slow and safe because I knew that I was tired, and that if I wanted a reasonably decent run, that I would need to not go for anything too risky at first because
Didn't split.
I would just make mistakes. And it's not like those things are risky, it's just, you know, keep it simple, get through the first couple levels. I didn't really expect to get a PB because, again, I haven't really done any runs since my 5736. I've done a lot of practice, but I haven't done any full runs. So my approach for Gauntlet 7 Sorrows, I don't just sit and do runs very often. I'll only do like 1 or 2 at a time. There's been times where I'll sit and do like a couple runs, but of course, because each run is an hour long, that's pretty time consuming. So instead I take sections that are a little bit more difficult and I practice them. So like when I was learning this run originally, like, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, I was like picking it back up. I was just doing the first 3 levels like over and over for like a month. That's why my first 3 levels are like pretty consistent and I don't really practice them anymore. I've even just like for this run, this is the first time I've done a full run and just not used the metronome because I just didn't feel like it. And you know what? I'm gonna go back a little bit because there's something worth talking about. So I don't keep track of the okay, cool, I can even fast forward. So let's fast forward. I don't keep track of the enemies up here. I know that when Boyo does runs, I hear him counting. I think you need like 19 or 20 to get the first prompt of keep fighting to pop up. So I counted in my head and I only killed like 14, and I think it's because of what I do for this for death here. So I summon death, and in most runs I have to wait a couple seconds, like a second or 2 before I can do my burst because I need my mana regen to come through. But I come up here, I open this chest, sometimes I pick up the gold too, it depends if I get it, how the collision ends up working out, but it says defeat the hordes to find the key. And I've always kind of thought that's probably the trigger to start that kill count, if there even is a required kill count. So then I run back and burst. And it kills like a handful of enemies, probably kills like 5 or 6, which is probably why I don't have to kill as many when I walk up here. So I think it's a pretty worthwhile burst to do. Plus, I talk about it later in the run. I can let it play now. I talk about it later in the run. I believe there's some sort of situation where it's like a certain amount of enemies can spawn at a time, but I don't think it's like a full limitation of the game itself. Like, it's not like, oh, the Xbox can only load so many things, so like there's a max of 20 entities. There's probably something like that, but it seems to be like zone related. So like in a specific area, a certain amount of enemies can spawn. And I have found that when I don't burst and kill the enemies back before, I just get less spawns here. Like, they're just slower. And it could just be anecdotal. It could just be the way the RNG is playing out. But I think I'm clearing out the entity count for this zone so that more can spawn. Because if there's more enemies back a little back further by like the little scaffolding where there's the archers and stuff, then that's... Are they archers or sorcerers? Who cares? Then that... It just clears up some of the enemy count. I'll go back real quick. And just, you know, the quick and easy version of the Scarecrow explanation. I have like a 10-minute explanation in my other video, but run along the top wall holding up left. I am now looking down at my controller. Oh, you can't see me because you can't see the camera. Go watch the run. I look down at my controller for a bit before I start sipping my coffee. That's me lining up the joystick with where I believe it should be, and I don't know if I have my controller right here. It's I point it right there, right towards this top corner of my controller. If you have the same kind of, this is like a Series X Power A controller or something, uh, uh, then that's the angle that I use. And then yeah, I just pictured or imagined 180 BPM. I've grown up doing a lot of stuff with music. I make music. Hey, I have a YouTube channel with my music on it if you want to check it out. Same name. It's I think my speedrun channel is Jenny Kaiba Speedruns. That one's just Jenny Kaiba. My last name's not Kaiba, by the way. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference. I've apparently learned some people are under the impression my last name is actually Kaiba. No, I'm not gonna say my last name, but it's not Kaiba, and that's just a Yu-Gi-Oh reference because I really liked the show growing up. So yeah, I clear the prompt. I hit the cauldron and I kill Scarecrow. I don't know. My setup seems consistent. I never really have to reset on Plague Town anymore. If it ever happened, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's a reasonable thing to goof up because it's easy. But I think if you get like the setup can like clear in your head with like lots of little visual indicators that you're using to make sure that everything's going right, you'll get it consistently and it'll be fine. So yeah, normal Plague Town, and I can fast forward through this. We burst, we crank, we get to the end of the level. I take a lot of hits coming out of it. And then yeah, we almost forget to buy Continental Assault.
Oh, I almost didn't buy it.
I literally just get lucky by not accidentally hitting A too many times before I realize, wait a minute, I have to buy Continental Assault. Because I was not mentally sharp during the beginning of this run. So that ended up being a gold split on Plague Town. Cool. You know, nice. I got a lot of lucky stuff this run. This was a pretty lucky run. I had my fair share of bad luck too, but overall it's pretty lucky. Shipbuilder Village is probably one of the least remarkable levels in the entire run. There's a handful of them. You don't really do anything special. I have Continental Assault, so I'm able to clear this spawner and some other spawners a little quicker. There's some things involving my gold route. There's specific gold that I pick up, though I actually did it a little differently this run just because my brain was a little melted, and it's actually easier to pick up gold in the next level, so, you know, it doesn't make a big difference. I think I, like, skipped the chest down here, maybe, or maybe the one by the spawner. I don't know. No, I get this chest. I don't know if that chest is worth it. There's this chest, and then there's the chest at the end of the level, but in the next level, there's so many chests worth 50 gold that, like, are completely free. Like, those chests cost half a second to pick up, you know, or maybe 1 second to pick up. But in the next level, there's a lot of chests that you can open on your way one direction, and then on the way back, you can collect the gold. There's like 3 chests that you can do that with, and they're all together worth like 150. So I don't know that you really need hardly any of this gold. But I pick it up anyways. There's that 32, there's that 32, and then there's the one that I missed, which was by the spawner, the first spawner that I killed. But slightly slower shipbuilder, just taking hits and bad lines and things like that. And we move on to Sunken Harbor. Another relatively unremarkable level, other than there's a ton of gold on this level. So you can pick up both of these chests for the 100 instead of just the 50, but you don't need it. Not unless you've skipped a lot of previous gold, but like I like picking up the gold really early for Continental Assault, so I can get Continental Assault for levels 3 and 4, or 4 and 5, sorry, which is Shipbuilder and Sunken Harbor, because in both levels you have to destroy some spawners, so it saves a little time. I think this even went a tad slow, maybe, because, yeah, that chest you can open, yeah, let's talk about this. Let's keep going through this. So yeah, those 2 chests, they have 50 gold, one on either side. You can open both of them if you want. There's 100, and this one I think is also 50. Actually, hey, we can check. So let's do that. Yep, 50. So, you know, there's 150 gold you can pick up for free. Plus what, there's like 50 at the beginning. So you could just pick up none of the gold in the previous level and get all your gold here. Because there's also 50 at the end of the level that you have to pick up. So you could do the 50 at the beginning, the 50 at the end, and then the 50 on the way over the bridge. And then maybe the 50 by the lever. There's 200 full gold, which is enough for a lunge. And that's all we're trying to do here is before Ancient Forest we want lunge.
Just get a really good ancient forest.
So, oh wait. Do we see me buy it? Yeah, we see me buy it. And I do my menuing very slow. I haven't memorized. I think it's 3 to the right for lunge and 2 to the left for continental assault. I don't know. I don't rush my menuing on that portion just because it'd be so annoying to lose a run to that. Because if I don't buy lunge for Ancient Forest, it's just going to go so much slower. I'm not going to bother with that. I think I'm going to stop using double continental assaults on this. I'm going to use continental assault and then lunge because the second one always ends up blowing half the continental assault into the wall or killing enemies. But because I kill the enemies, it's like, well, there's just going to spawn more when I walk up here. I'd rather the entity count max out and they stop spawning, because I think each spawner is only going to spawn like 3 of the trolls, like 3 or 4 of each. So just let them spawn and then stop killing them. So like the more I use continental assault, the more enemies I'm going to accidentally kill. I don't think it'll make much of a difference other than saving me some mana, which is just nice because then I have the mana for later portions of the run. Let's fast forward, because even though Ancient Forest can like be a big time saver or time loser, it all just comes down to mana management, enemy management, like all that stuff. I take myself wide here just because I sometimes get stuck on that spawner. I ran out of mana, kind of. I mean, I still had some I could have used, but I think I was trying to save it because I knew I had this room to get through, and so I was trying to do a mixture of continental assaults and lunges, because obviously you get more value out of continental assault when you don't like have arrows still firing afterwards, but after destroying the thing. I miss key skip. I might do some key skip practice to see if I can get like a setup for it, because my problem is the scorpions keep blocking me. It's hard to kick through the scorpions. So if I kind of clip through this, like I open it standing to the right of the box and I'm a little too far forward. I will like start out kind of far back, but then I like walk a little bit and I go forward. So maybe I need to stand still and block, but then I might get pushed by scorpions. And then I try to jump and it like I get hit and I try to jump and I don't really go anywhere and I miss the key, and it's just, so I don't get key skip. I haven't gotten key skip in a couple runs and it saves a few seconds, so it would be nice to get, but it's not a big deal. Low mana, low health, had to pick up some ham. I guess that loses a little time, but it also hardly matters. I mean, I can't imagine without some pretty clean gameplay, like really clean gameplay, that you're not going to have a couple points in the run where you got to pick up a little food or something. And then I take a bit of a slow death on Groot, but you know, Groot's Groot. You're going to take a couple deaths probably too. It'd be nice to have a cleaner fight. I got really bad RNG on Groot because he kept doing the suck in and then the slam away. And so I'm just getting tossed back and forth with hardly any chance to use Continental Assault. I try to get him kind of like add an elevation difference just because I've been playing around to see if like sometimes certain attacks might miss you on an elevation difference. If you watch my 5736, the troll boss has an attack that goes over my head. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I have not replicated that sense on any of the bosses. It doesn't seem like it's very likely to happen because you need the elevation difference from the slope of the stairs, but you also need to be close enough that Continental Assault hits all the arrows. I don't know.
Different standing stone strat.
Saved 4.3 though, compared to my previous split, PB split, like version of Ancient Forest, which was a pretty rough Ancient Forest. So classic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I usually go about 6.5 steps. That's all you got to do to get through that rock, but you have to walk through the right side if you do that. You got to push another 2 or so steps before you can go through the left side. So just do 6.5 steps. Don't push the rock all the way. Go to the right side. Saves a little time. Um,
My level up cycle's a little off where it usually is, so I'm not gonna
and I kind of mentioned it here. My XP is my XP cycle is just a little off. So
maybe that's good enough reason to
so you know, I just take note of that because usually I level up during the first section of standing stones, like the first pushing stones part, which can be nice because you get mana back. And so I don't really feel bad about blowing through all my mana in that room, but since I'm doing a different strategy here, I figured, who cares? And so we can fast forward. The different strategy, of course, is that I'm just not going to kill the spawners. I'm not going to kill the summoners. I'm just going to push the stones. I didn't push the first one all the way. I don't know why I don't notice that, but I just don't. So what I'm doing here, the way I make this kind of work decent, and you can really see it happen here. This part's an awesome example. So throughout this section, I'm using Continental Assault to blind and push back enemies and kill some of them too. The way Continental Assault works is the arrows, and I explain it at the end of this run, but the arrows hitbox spawn behind Elf. I don't know if you're familiar with what. I don't know who you are. I don't know who's watching this. I don't know why but I don't know if anyone is familiar with how the FOV works in Dead by Daylight. But they added an FOV slider in Dead by Daylight like a year or two ago, maybe longer than that. And the way they handle increasing FOV in Dead by Daylight is they just move the camera back further. So consider this to be Elf. If this is like Continental Assault arrows, they don't spawn from inside of Elf. It seems like the hitbox spawns a little further back. So that's why if your back's against a wall and you use Continental Assault, all the arrows get eaten up by the wall. Or it's just that like the hitbox of the arrows is just so big or something. I don't know. So what I do here is I face the rock and I shoot. The arrows are all just going to get eaten up by the rock, but the hitbox is big enough to be hitting some enemies behind me. And I just like wiggle left and right my position, like my angle of Elf. I wiggle a little bit to try and get like a nice spread of where that's gonna hit. That will hit enemies. Anyone who doesn't die gets blinded / stunned, and that's nice. So they're not gonna hit you for a while, and it pushes them back. But sort of a thing that happens is when I come up to this rock, enemies are gonna come up and like group up around me, right? Other enemies aren't gonna be able to walk through those enemies like hitboxes. So they like the collision of those enemies keeps the other enemies away, but of course the ones that are on you are hitting you. So when you use Continental Assault, the ones that get blinded but not killed are still standing there blocking the other enemies from walking past them, given that there's enough clustered up. And then even when they die, the collision for those enemies sticks around for a little bit, and so it kind of keeps enemies away. So like you can get these little like breaths of air as you're trying to do these pushes. Plus you don't lose progress if you get hit. You just have to stop for a second. It's not like the rock comes backwards. So as long as you keep making progress, it's good. But then what'll happen, and you'll see it happen here, is especially in these tighter areas where we have this like lump and then this chest, which both have collision. The enemies can only come at me from like this angle here. It's the only angle. Or they can try to hit me from the other side of the rock, but they're not going to, know to do that. And so if you have enemies kind of crescent shaped, like clustered here, they're sometimes going to struggle to get past each other in order to get closer. So you'll even see that bone scorpion plus that troll there couldn't really get close enough, and then these two trolls are trying to get past each other, but they're like getting stuck, and then a third one gets in there. So like they just stutter, they get kind of stuck on each other, and this can buy you a little time. And then it's just if too many get clustered on me, I do a quick Continental Assault or I swipe at them. So I finished that stone. I just have to wrap this one up, and then I kick my way through.
Push that one, that's fine.
To finish that off. So that was a little faster than that usually goes, because it just takes time to kill all the summoners and all the enemy spawners and stuff. So that's nice. I pick up the food here because I don't want to die to these guys that are absolutely gonna hit you. They just wreak havoc. I would love to check against a different run, Because I talked about like zones and entity counts and stuff. I had more enemies spawned at that point from the previous spot. I don't know if they're like gonna count towards the entity count for this zone, but I felt like less enemies spawned when I came through because of that, and it's because I didn't kill them all. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's just RNG. I don't know. But that's just an idea or a theory that I have. We don't have a set of source code to really look at, so it's hard to get like definitive answers without extensive testing. But just anecdotal experience, that's what I'm kind of noticing. Now this room, I just do it normal. In practice runs, this room is just too much of a mess. There's too many enemies, and too many enemies that do too much damage for it to be worth it to like try and brute force it without killing everything. Because again, in practice runs, I kept dying over and over trying to push these stones without killing stuff. And I might try some strats, see if there's some like uses of Continental Assault, or maybe the move where you flip people, the down arrow, down D-pad. I don't remember what that's called, but maybe toss them over the rock you're pushing or something. I don't know that that's really gonna help, but maybe there's something there. I think some other characters can actually do pretty well without having to kill all these things. Like Wizard can kind of give himself a breather by using his down D-pad because it sucks enemies towards a point away from him. So you drop one of those and then you push for a bit and then you drop another one. But even then, I don't know if that's worth it compared to just killing all this stuff, though. Wizard is so slow at killing stuff sometimes that, like, at like destroying spawners, that I do wonder if it's like better to avoid it because he's so slow with it. But this went pretty well. Oh yeah, I can fast forward. We don't need to watch this at regular speed. Okay, K also pauses. Interesting. Stone Golem goes so well, and I have some thoughts on maybe there's a strategy here. So we're gonna fast forward because the whole beginning portion, we're blocking, no big deal. So we get all the summoners down. Now we have to knock them into the hole in the middle. I mean, you can also just kill them, but it takes a lot longer if you want to like kill all of them. So obviously we usually use a burst to knock them into the middle. I have something interesting happen here. I get hit a lot, and you'll see getting hit again. I think I get hit again. Golem starts swinging. So he's swinging or slamming or something. I can hear it happen, but I don't see it happen. There he is. He's just finishing it. So I'm like, oh, all of the summoners are going to get in front of him. I usually like them getting all behind him, because when they all get behind him, they're trying to move forward, but they can't, so they cluster really well. But I found that I was kind of like, whatever, this is the best we're getting. They ended up grouping up incredibly well. And I was like, huh. So, and by the way, I also stand further back. Just math, right? I want them all to go in the same direction. If I get really close, they're going to come closer to the inner portion of that circle, right? Of the burst. The closer they are to you, the less movement, or the less like difference in movement they need in order to get blasted all the way to the right instead of forward, right? But the further back we get, we have a little more control over saying you're all in a very similar percent portion of the pie, right? So like, think of it as a pie. Say like this is the pie where, I'll even do it towards the camera. Say this is the pie where if they're within this pie, they will get knocked into the circle. You want to be further back so that they're at the top of the pie piece, because there's more space at the top of the pie piece. If you're getting close to them and they're near the bottom of the pie piece, they take one little step to the left or right. Sorry, it's hard to... And they leave the pie piece, and then they don't go in the hole. So you want to make that pie piece, you want to use the biggest portion of it as you can. And you can stand pretty far back and still hit them with the burst. They will still get knocked back, I think, just the same amount. I don't think how close they are to you matters for how far they get knocked back. And all of the summoners, their AI is written to walk away from you, generally. They're not going to come after you because they don't do melee attacks. And so if you're on this side and they're on that side, they're going to walk away from you and towards the hole. So they're all going to be close to the hole. And I end up getting, that's a full set of summoners in the hole. So I didn't really know what to do. I was like, I'll just walk towards the golem, I guess, taunt on him a little. Like, that's it. Also, for record, this is the only split that I don't split after the shop, because I like the level up screen and the shop screen and stuff, just because I kept splitting early by splitting right after the golem dies because I get excited. So I just started splitting golem after golem dies. It's just a little easier. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna try using that strat for golem from now on, see how that goes, because that went really fast. So this Imperial City is pretty straightforward. Pick up the keys, walk to the end, destroy the spawners. You know, it's just, I guess there's two spots where you have to destroy some here too. Continental Assault rips through these pretty good. There's some more up here that you gotta get through, and once again, mostly just Continental Assault, getting through those. And that teleporter takes you to a weapon upgrade. Takes a good few seconds to, you know, go pick that up, and I don't think it's worth it. I don't really pick up like any weapon upgrades. I pick up like an armor upgrade throughout this run, and that's pretty much it, I think. I don't know if we pick up any weapon upgrades, because we get the Standing Stones armor upgrade, we get the Caldera armor upgrade. If you wanted to get the Throne Room armor upgrade, I did that in my 5634, though I don't think it's worth it, since it, you know, whatever, who cares, right? How often do you really take a bad death on the remaining levels? Like, sometimes, I guess, but I like to death warp on the ancient path, underground pathway, or whatever it's called. I don't know, third to last level. So I don't know, we don't really pick up damage upgrades just because they're kind of out of the way. So destroy this generator, this spawner, destroy, I skip these two just because I know I'm probably gonna die at some point. I never like avoid dying in this room, this portion of the level, so I try to just get these ones that are really out of the way, so that like I don't end up walking up the pathway and then dying up there and then having to walk back up it. I'm like, let me just get those ones out of the way because they're annoying. I'd like to workshop this room a lot, see if there's like a cleaner, better way to go about it. So I end up having to do this, having to go back to this one, but then these two are just right here, right at the end, and that's pretty easy. Spam Continental Assault to get through them, wait for the blue wall, and then, you know, like, I lost 2 seconds to an unfortunate sort of order of operations there. I still need to fix my splits. Imperial Palace is supposed to be up, not left, so I remembered that this time. I teleport during a cutscene here, so, you know, hit the lever and immediately try to jump over here. Like, run a bit, then jump, and try to get yourself onto the teleporter so that you teleport during the cutscene. As long as you make it to the teleporter, you're good. Save a tiny little bit of time, second or two. Just hit all the... Oh, yeah, there's something to talk about here, I guess. Just a cautionary tale. I never go around the right side of this generator and walk along the wall, because there's like an invisible wall here you can get stuck behind sometimes. It happened to me in a run, I think my like 5950 something, that run I get stuck. So pull the lever. So the levers, I used to miss them sometimes, which is why I started playing with the audio actually coming through my headphones. I used to not listen to the audio, but the sound cue on this level is kind of nice to just be like, okay, I definitely pulled that lever. Pull this lever, wait for the teleporter. That teleporter you can't take during the cutscene because it doesn't activate until after the cutscene, unfortunately. So, I just try to be as close as I can to it to get that started as quickly as possible, but, I almost always die in this room, and you kind of have to because you need to burst in the next room. Well, you don't need to burst. I've had a run where I didn't burst. I think like my one... Was it like a 101 or something? My 101, I think I don't burst during this next portion. It's annoying. I'd prefer to just have the mana for a burst, and again, if you're gonna take a death, this is not a terrible place to take it, since it gives you some form of advantage. If the enemies are kind of far away, I push first. I delay the burst as long as I can, just because I don't know what my entity count's doing, and I don't know if I still have enemies spawning from the spawners right now. So I want everything, as many enemies to spawn first, then burst and blind all of them, just so that there's not one that like this guy probably spawned right after my burst, or maybe like for some reason the burst just didn't hit him. So like he could have come up and hit me and delayed me a little bit. It doesn't matter much. Really, I should be zooming out during levels. I talk about that in one of my like runs or maybe my tips video or something, that like pressing the right stick and zooms out, it's really helpful. But I just kind of forget to a lot of the time because I'm just like, especially here, I was doing this run. I was very tired. So, and again, this was just a couple hours ago, and I was drinking my coffee during the run, so I was still a little tired. Crank, hit the end, all done. Lost 7 seconds on Imperial Palace. It's not my cleanest level, typically. I need to work on it. But it wasn't too bad. I think that was just because the death didn't line up quite as well as previous runs. Throne Room, it's all boss battles pretty much, so it's nothing crazy except for the middle portion. So yeah, here you just like do as much damage as you can while you die to get your mana back, and then you just spam Continental Assault again and just take the death when you can. And I ended up not needing it because I could lunge them to death. Lunge, very helpful on that level. Come up here. When you come up into this room, you always want to try to make sure you activate the spawn point, because if you don't, your spawn point is still set at the bottom of the staircase. Actually, like the whole beginning of the level. So bottom of the staircase, but also at the back of that room. So horrible death to take. It's happened to me on a run before. I think my 59, 50 something, that run I die there and have to run all the way back up. But instead you can spawn right here and get your mana back. This room could have been cleaner. I take some deaths that didn't help much because I was like trying to time things out, but I just wasn't paying very good attention. But I think at this point my coffee was starting to hit. Dungeon Deeps is where I really started to feel the coffee actually kick in, so I burst and I say, okay, I think we can get this, but I started my cranking a little bit late, but got pretty lucky with the enemy RNG. And then I'm thinking, I don't have a burst. I can try using Continental Assault to blind and then pulling, but then that guy soaked up all of my arrows, and so none of these other guys got hit. And so I was just like, great. I believe if you kill these sorcerers, they're gone for good, and then it's just the 2 tall blue guys will be spawning, 1 per stairwell. So I've already closed the other stairwell, so if I kill everyone, then I just have the 1 blue guy to worry about. But I was like, I don't know, maybe I can make this work. And then I eventually die. And then I was like, okay, the summoners teleported away. I don't want to miss them with my burst, because I'm not sure how enemies off screen are like handled. And so I'm like, I don't want the burst to miss. So I go up to the lever and I'm like, I'm gonna wait for a second. I'm gonna crank and then burst and keep cranking to try and like save some time. And I just end up dying because I'm an idiot. And then so I was like, okay, forget that. I'm just gonna burst and then crank. And it was a little sketchy because I saw the summoner got pushed towards the wall and I was like, is he gonna get back up and hit me? But no, he died. The other guys are blinded standing up there and they just don't make it in time and don't swing. So, not a bad throne room. A lot better than like my previous runs, because that room tends to go pretty poorly, but like could be cleaner. I think what you want to do is run in, start destroying generators, die, destroy the rest of the generators. If you still have enough mana, burst, do 1 crank. Really hope it works out, because there's going to be a lot more enemies at that point still, and then die. Just try to die. Unless you, for some reason, are putting points into mana regen, you're not going to get enough for a burst for a while. Just the tall blue guys, I think, are going to do the most damage. So run into them. If you stand still in front of them, they won't attack as often, I believe. You want to be moving into them and in front of them. So do that and try to get a death. You will you'll eventually die, and you can burst again and try to crank again. I think that's the way to go. Which does mean that room's always going to come down to a little bit of RNG, because sometimes the enemies are aggressive and they get up from the burst, and as soon as they're not blinded, they just swing or shoot a fireball at you, and then then you have to just keep trying trying to restart the cranking because it only you lose progress like over time, and so like if you can get cranking again quickly, like you might be okay, but I don't know. Grand Magistrate, by the way, it doesn't matter where you kill him, just kill him, because when they spawn death, I've killed him. I like at one point he teleported up towards the end of the level, and I was like, cool, I'll kill him up there, and then I'll be closer to the thing that I have to push. Nah, it reset my position back to down here, and I was like, oh. So it doesn't matter. You're always going to start at the same spot because they wanted you to be kind of closer to death, even though he never catches up. If you just run to the end, he won't catch up. So even if he does, you can just burst. So I just hold left and I wait to run left. And so I run left and I push. And then I always kind of move back and forth because sometimes I'm standing on a funny spot that doesn't fall down if you're like not close enough to the center of the hole. Except I end up like, here I can show it. I end up messing it up. And so like I'm standing there for a little longer and I'm like, I'm not falling. So that was not helpful. I mess up this screen, the do you want to save screen. I mess it up so many times where I accidentally hit A because I'm just like tired and mashing A. So whatever. This room's pretty straightforward. You just destroy the generators, which obviously good continental assaults help. I still haven't figured out the whole magic angle stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's like hitting corners is better or something. I'm trying everything right now. I'm not getting much. This room, I avoid bursting because it uses like almost all your mana. It uses like, what's it, like 60% or something? 60-70% of your mana pool for one burst. And instead, I'm like, let me just let guys spawn, and then let me just use this move because that'll flip a lot of them into the holes. So if there's only a couple enemies spawn, I just start swinging, and then when there's more, I do that. It saves some time. It's a pretty good strategy. I'm trying to just kind of like let some of them spawn while I just take out the ones that are near me, and then, you know, even if you don't get them in the hole, most of the red guys will die just to the damage. So it's mostly the blue guys you're trying to get into the hole. But even the blue guys, like, you know, if they've taken a hit or two, they'll die. I mean, they might even just die straight up to the slam. I don't know. I'm not totally sure. But it's a good move. It does hit a lot of enemies, and you have the advantage. Like, I'm fighting specifically in this corner because it's close to where I need to go next, and it also has that this corridor right here. So they group up here, and then I can slam and hit them all. Continental Assault's nice. It does damage and blinds them, but it's actually kind of bad in this room, because if you Continental Assault in this room, you're blinding the enemies that are further away, and they're not going to walk towards you during that, which means they're not dying as fast because they're not coming to you unless they died from the damage from Continental Assault, which isn't very high when it's that far away and it's only one arrow or two arrows hitting. So you're really just hurting yourself because only so many enemies will spawn at a time, and you're wasting entity count with blinded enemies being really far away from you. So it's better to pull them in and let's get over here. Let's kill them. You just want to try not to, you know, take too much damage. Hug the inside wall. Yes, there's a lot of traps on the inside wall, but there's a lot of traps everywhere in this room, and there's like 18 archers. I don't know how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9 archers along the wall. So like, whatever, man. I just take the inside line. It usually works out. I try my best to like keep an eye on where the spikes are. Obviously, like you can even see it right here. The spikes poke out a little bit before they come up all the way. So you can see if they're going to come, and you just, you know, don't walk on those ones, but like just do your best. Taking damage, the spikes don't do very much damage. The fire will kill you real fast. Fire does a lot of damage. Spikes don't do very much damage. So you don't have to worry about the spikes too much. They're just going to slow you down. And then if you didn't pick it all up in this room before, you might have some cheese. And that's what I was looking for some cheese. Saw that there was some cheese, so I ran up here just to get some health back because those archers are still there. The traps are still here, but I'm able to just kind of make my way through. Sometimes if I have the mana, I'll burst in this room. Depends on, you know, how much mana I have, how my level up's lined up, all that stuff, but for the most part, you just gotta run through. So those are pretty good Imperial Palace. Dungeon Deeps. I hate this level. I don't get it. It's that one gate, dude. I don't get what is up with that level. Or that part of the level. This level. That gate. So, okay, you pull the lever. I have learned, I don't know why we keep running to the right first. The order that you do the second two, or I guess 3 and 4, the third and fourth, because you do the first lever to get out of the first room. That lever's the second lever. Then there's the next 2 that you have to do. Doesn't matter what order you do those in. So, I don't know. I feel like it's a little better. So I still summon death, because I'm going to want the damage from it. I go up here first. You know? I do that one first, just because it feels like it makes sense. Because we're going to go to the next lever. We're going to death warp. And then normally we would run up to this one, back down, and then leave. But instead, I don't know, like death warp and then just run straight down. I feel like it's slightly better. Now, I also take damage on the green fire. I didn't realize the green fire knocks you down. Maybe that doesn't always happen. Maybe something else happened there. I don't know. But I get knocked down and I was like, oh, because I always try to get hit by the green fire here. Because I'm like, take damage so I can die faster and death warp better. But if the green fire knocks you down, that's kind of annoying. And it doesn't do that much damage. So I didn't run into the second one. But yeah, now you just got to Continental Assault these spawners. Now you're supposed to die before pulling the lever. And I didn't do that here. I panic and pull the lever, and I was like, whoops. The reason you die before you pull the lever is you can pull levers during your death animation. So as your character's dying, like you'll see here, you drop to your knees. Death's kind of blocking it, but I'm going to drop to my knees. And then I'm going to drop down all the way. This whole animation, you can pull levers, as long as you're still close enough. So it's a little risky if you end up not being close enough, but like you have some control over that. Just make sure you're standing in the right spot. And I do it sort of correctly here. I still kind of panic because this room's a little harder to do it, because when you're getting damaged by death, he doesn't move you around, but other enemies do. And so obviously I'm like trying to take as much damage as I can, so I'm running into them to try and make sure like lots of them are there to hit me, and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting lower. So I need them to hit me, and I thought I was going to take more damage there, but I got Street Fighter health, as Boyle calls it, and I'm still alive. So I pull the lever and then die. You just need to die before the cutscene starts. That's the trick. Die before the cutscene starts, and I mash A during the cutscene, and I don't know if mashing A has something to do with it as well, but you will be able to respawn during the cutscene. Whereas normally, if you die after the cutscene, you have to wait for the knee drop and then the body fault, and then you can press A and respawn. So it saves like an extra second or two on the death warp if you do it that way. So death is still here because we never got rid of him, but that doesn't matter because he doesn't follow you past the teleporter. So you're just gonna like take some damage here, but like that was barely anything. This room makes no sense to me. So if you look at my 2 previous PVs, my 5736 and my 5950 whatever, this gate takes forever to open even after I kill everything. Now, we had previously thought, oh, one of the blue guys might be clipping under the floor. And I'm like, okay, yeah, well, maybe. I think that might be right. So what I'll do is I'll like burst, because I'm thinking, well, if they're under the floor, I guess that's maybe one of the only moves that's going to hit them. So I'll burst, and it like in my 5736, it wasn't doing anything. And so I just waited, and after waiting long enough, the gate opened. And into my 5950 whatever, same thing happened where I'm just running back and forth through the room trying to figure out what to do, trying to find an enemy I'm missing or something, and the gate just eventually opens. I think there is a timer where, like, if you're in this room too long, the gate will just open. I have noticed that, like, I was doing, I think, a wizard run or something. Oh, no. I was trying to get a max level elf so that I can do New Game Plus runs. A horrible experience. I don't know if any of you have tried to get to max level, but you start getting XP so slowly. I don't know if higher difficulties give you more, and I might try that out, but you start getting XP so slowly near the higher levels. So, I don't know, you could probably just find a 100% save file online or something, but I was in this room just killing enemies and stuff. Or I was in other rooms just killing enemies, and I got to this room, and I was like, I'm curious. So I just put on fast forward on my emulator, and I stood in this room and didn't kill anything. And after long enough, the gate does open. So I think an enemy was getting stuck somewhere, and then I just was waiting out the timer, basically, which sucks. But then in this run, you'll see. So we've talked about how you got to kill the blue guys to get the gate to open. I think we're all on the same page as that's what we think. But so there's 2 tall blue guys. Then there's a couple like teal guys that I've also been assuming are part of that count. Because I've tried killing just the tall ones and it didn't open the gate. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe you have to kill the teal ones too. They're also kind of blue. So I started killing all of the bluish guys. But if you look at this, I don't even think I killed both the tall guys. So left tall guy dies right there. Okay, I just killed the second tall guy. Still not opening. I kill this blue guy. I have one to the left, and it opens. Why? Why did the gate already open? And why didn't it open, like, at all in my previous 2 runs? This ends up saving me a few seconds. Like, I'm already 45 ahead, so great. You know, I'm already, like, cruising. But I end up saving a decent amount of time. Part of it's an okay troll fight with some other things going on. But, like, why did it open?
Man, this time the gate just fucking opened. That gate is just not consistent.
I'm confused. I don't know, man. Maybe it's like both tall guys have to die, and then a few seconds pass, and then it opens. And maybe in my other runs I can look and see if both the tall guys spawn in, and if I can see them both die on screen. I don't know. It could be something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't understand that room well enough to, you know, not get upset. I'm gonna keep getting upset in that room every single run. It's kind of just, it is what it is. I still have not managed to get this room to be as fast as I think Pote's run. Pote's old world record of like an hour, 1 minute or something. That run, he clears these generators so fast. I think he had a better understanding of Continental Assault. Now, I know I'm getting a lot of damage lost to enemies being behind me, but I at a certain point, I kind of just said, forget it. I'm just going to get through this room. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Yeah, I end up dying, which loses a couple seconds. It's not a bad death, but it's not a death I usually take, and it's I don't... Obviously, you don't want to take any deaths that aren't explicitly helpful. Oh my god, I just looked at OBS, and I am recording, but I don't have... I usually have virtual camera on, because I also use OBS for, like, other work-related stuff, and I thought that it wasn't recording because of that. I thought I only had virtual camera on. I was like, oh no. But no, I don't have virtual camera on. Sorry. Oh, that gave me a little heart attack. That would have been such a bummer, but okay. So this room is fine. You just run through. So, you know, you can sometimes take damage from enemies. You just run through this room, go to the teleporter, and then coming up here is the troll fight. So, the troll fight's pretty normal. I think it talked about it earlier during Groot, but like obviously I try to keep the boss at an elevation difference in hopes that like one of the moves misses, and it's only ever happened once ever to me. So I will fast forward this. I get him to get hit by fire, which is nice, but like I don't know if it's much faster to like try and rely on the fire traps. So I just try to unload Continental Assaults into him while slowly taking damage to die, and then I try to keep him close to the spawn point, or at least like if he's gonna go, like I'm not gonna pull him away from the spawn point at any point, just because like, well, if I'm gonna die, I'd like to respawn and immediately attack him. So sure, I'm a little further away from the end of the level, but like I feel like it's worth it to save time on the boss fight. So I ended up being 1:29 ahead. I saved 44 seconds, and I think a solid like 10-15 seconds is just that stupid gate that makes no sense to me. So I don't know, I'll mess around with that gate room a bunch maybe later today or something, see if I can find something. Yeah, so this level is pretty simple. Get the silver key. We only have like 10 minutes left. I was gonna go to the bathroom because I have to pee, but whatever, who cares. Pull the lever. So for the first time you want to take the right path. The second time it doesn't matter because you're going to the middle lever. The third time you want to go on the left path. If you're going to walk back up, just walk back up as fast as you can. But it does take about 10 seconds to walk up. And I think I walk up here, so let's actually time it. So the cutscene ends here, and I haven't started moving yet, but Oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go pee real quick. So I'll be right back. So yeah, we're gonna time how long it takes. We're starting at 46:48. So 48 seconds, pretty much on the dot. Let's see how long it takes to get back up. So okay. Oh, I do take the death here. Never mind. So we end up getting up.
So if you can die.
57, 58. So we ended up getting up from 48 to 58. So that was on par by my previous calculations. I think the second time around I walk up. So we can see both.
I usually don't really.
The death usually is a lot faster than 10 seconds though. But you have to set yourself up with the right amount of health, which for the first time you go through is not something you have a lot of control over, but like the next couple times you have better control. So like, because I took the death on the first one, I'm not really going to be missing hardly any health here. So kill 2 of the generators, get in there, run down, doesn't really matter which direction you go, just get down to that middle lever, and then so from the end of the cutscene, whoops, alright. So you can see Elf moving here, so I'm going to consider it this is the point where I have movement again. So it's 13 seconds, 13.6, but 13 seconds. And we get up to a similar point of the spawn point. I'd say that's a similar distance from the teleporter at 25. So that was 13 to 25. So that's 12 seconds to get up the walkway. 12 seconds to walk up the walkway, give or take. So 10 was actually kind of undershooting it. It's actually about 11 or 12 seconds, so I would say 12 seconds. So basically, anytime you're on this level, you just have to ask yourself, can I die within 12 seconds? I don't know. If I can, maybe I should take the death. Now, I also, I opened this chest because death is in it. So spawn death because he's gonna hopefully follow you over to the next spot. Sometimes he gets stuck on probably like the corner of the bridge or something. I don't know, or the spawner. But I'm gonna come over here and get the key, and then death is here. So I'm gonna lose down to about half health, and then I'm gonna burst to get rid of death. And then I'm going to use Continental Assault as many times as I can. So I probably kill these spawners a teensy bit slower. Say we lose like a second or two from that, maybe. Oh, and then I level up. It's so unlucky. So normally that sets you up to take a really quick death when you get down. And say you die within 2 seconds, right? Then you save like 10 seconds by death warping. Instead, I leveled up. So I say screw it, I'm just gonna run up. If it takes 12 seconds, it takes 12 seconds. I forgot about that. Oh well, you know, nothing's perfect. So we ended up losing 2 seconds, and that's because I usually get better death warps on Underworld, whatever it's called, Underworld Passage. Deep Fortress, Deep Fortress is pretty unremarkable, but also could potentially lose so much time. So if you're lucky, you can see there's this guy here. I think he's one of the ones that blows up. I can't remember, but I think so. Yeah, right? He's not a stone thrower. He's a blow-up-y guy. You kind of, yeah, those are the stone throwers have the sack. So he blows up. If you can get him to come all the way up here, then you can try to get him to blow up on you after you do the crystals. And so I do the crystals, but you gotta keep your eye out for, like, where is he? And I don't see him, usually. I'm kind of like, I'm not seeing this guy. I'm just gonna try to... Yeah, I'm not seeing him. I don't know where he is, and so I say I'm just gonna run. Why? Because, well, your spawn point's still back here, so you can save a couple seconds of running if he comes at you. But then you see another bomber guy, explosive guy right here, so... I don't know if he got stuck or got respawned. Maybe he blew up and then despawned and then a new one spawned. I don't know. I'm back and forth on whether or not I like going all the way across over here and then coming around. Hitting the... So, like, you can go over there, destroy this gen, and then this one right here. And then you can go back around in a crescent towards the door to hit the crystals. I just go both directions here. I think the first one I described is a little faster since you're going to take a straight line, a curve, and then a curve. But then in the other, no, I think it's about the same because then in this one you're going to take a curve, and then a straight line. So I don't know. It's probably about the same. I'm sure there's like some nuances on like the two curves are always the same distance. So like, what's the distance of the straight line in comparison? That straight line across plus that straight line there versus the straight line all the way from bottom left, I guess, is the difference that you have to make. And so I think the one I do is faster. Hey, let's talk about it. It's math, and I'm not going to do the actual math for it because, you know, I don't want to, and it also sounds kind of hard. But what we see us do is we have two options. We can take a straight line from here, actually like from this point here. We can either go down to this, or we can go across to the other one. I saw a Discord message, so I'm going to check what that was. Can't resist the urge. Whatever, I don't know, whatever. I'll look at something about the wiki. So here, we can come down to here, or we can go across to here, right? Obviously, this is a significantly shorter path. Once we get to this point, or to the point over here, by over here I mean the furthest away spawner. Once we get to one of those points, we have to take two arcs that are the same distance. Once across to destroy the spawners, and then once back to touch the crystals. Now, it's not a perfect arc. They're straight lines between each crystal, but like it's, you know, 3 points. And sometimes, you know, I don't usually take the perfect straight line, so like whatever. So these two arcs are about the same regardless, whether you start from that side or this side. So we're going to take this distance instead of that. So this distance was shorter to start. So then we do the two arcs, and so far we have saved time in that, like, we've taken less distance. If we had to walk all the way over there before we start our two arcs, that's more distance. So all the way over here. So let's add up the distance of our straight lines because the arc's always the same. So on the path that I take this straight line, I do my two arcs, and then I take that straight line. Alternatively, I take a straight line from like here-ish to there. I do the two arcs, and then I go from there to here. From there to here is a similar distance from here to here. So those are within those two different paths. I don't know if this is making sense, but I'm still going to go through it. Between those two different paths, we have two short lines and two long lines. The first one, the long line is from here to here, and the short line is from here to here. The second one, the long line is from here all the way to the other side, and the short line is from the other side up to the door. So I think the long lines, to me, seem similar. I think this line from here over to the other spawner might be a little bit longer than from here to the door, but they're probably about the same. So napkin math, I'm going to say those long lines are the same. The short lines from the spawn, or from the spawner to the door versus from like this point, which is our point of decision making to either go this direction. Well, I guess you could come up and take this line. So it'd be like from this point. So from here to here versus from there to there. The short lines seem kind of similar too, to me. But now that I think about the fact that you can cut through here, this long line versus this long line still feels kind of similar since you can cut here. So I'm going to say they're pretty similar, probably about the same. If you're saving time on one versus the other, it's probably like maybe half a second. So I would say, all things considered, with the time saves that are available on this run, the order you do this in is maybe not the biggest concern. Because this short line here's not too long either. So I would reckon they're pretty similar. They're pretty similar. I've just never taken a close look at that. That's the closest look I've taken, so I can time it. I could do like 10 runs of each strat in this room specifically. Create a save point, do 10 runs of each strat right there, and just get a little anecdotal data to say like, well, for me, this one is on average faster. But my guess is enemy RNG is going to change that data more drastically than pathfinding will. So like the path I take is probably going to matter a lot less compared to enemies that hit me, enemies that block my way, continental assaults hitting properly on spawners to kill them faster, things like that. So I would say that's probably not a big concern. This room's pretty straightforward. You just hit these crystals and you jump off the edge. I like to do the kick off the edge just to like make sure I'm pushing any enemies to try and get in front of me out of the way, but like for the most part I don't really have any issues. I always get nervous on that last one. Anytime I get like stuck on anything, I'm always worried I'm not going to get it. And we're a minute 29 ahead. We had a goal of about 2.4. And then here we have Caldera. So grab the armor upgrade, grab the lever. I guess a little bit of information on how I do Caldera. It's pretty straightforward though. Try to remember where all the levers are. Run as straight towards them as you can. So I kind of remember this one's here and then this one's up here. I get really lucky with the enemies not hitting me there. And then you'll see I miss it here, but usually I try to jump as I pull the ballistas. I try to jump away from them as I pull the hit the interact button for the little like twisty crank thing, so that Elf makes a little distance during the cutscene. But getting my hair in my own mouth, or my own hair in my mouth. Just kind of an issue that I have because my hair is a little crazy. Hey, yeah, you know, that's pretty much it. I mean, we're pulling levers. We're hoping not to die in inconvenient spots. I'm cruising on some really low health. Unfortunately, took a lot of damage early on, so I die there, though. It's not a bad, as far as deaths to take on Caldera, that's not bad. I usually take at least one death. And I usually don't take two, I feel. Or maybe I do sometimes. I usually only take one, I think. And I usually take that one when I'm pushing the stones. And this time I died shortly before pushing the stones, so I don't think I died during the stones. I think I just push and burst and push and hope. Yeah. So usually I die during the stones. I think it's pretty negligible between the two deaths that I ended up taking. But, you know, usually I try to die at that point just because it feels not as bad. And then I split at the end, the tiniest bit late. When I talk about like splitting late and retiming my runs, I'm just looking at like the final point of interaction is right here. And so this is the frame that I look at for my end time. And so this is a 5603.32, but since we don't keep track of milliseconds, it didn't end up mattering because it takes me less than a second to hit the button. And that's just because I'm locked in. I'm not gonna sit here thinking about like, okay, let's get my finger ready to hit the split button. It's like, no, I want to make sure I get this. I want to close this out as best as I can. I can always review the footage for my end time. So does that slightly affect my splits, my sum of best, my whatever? Sure, but who cares? The splits are there to service me. I'm not here to service them. They're only as helpful as I want them to be for me, and I don't want to change my process that does, you know, work well for me just to get the splits to come up a little bit cleaner. So this time it didn't matter because it was within the same 1 second margin, so still 5603. This run could have easily been a 55. I mean, obviously, I think I ended up scrolling through my splits after talking for a while. I talk about a bunch of things, and then I scroll through my splits at some point to look at like some time losses. And yeah, so like I didn't look into the individual splits. I don't know if I can to see the time loss per split, but like obviously the second level was a little slow. I was a little groggy. Shipbuilding went pretty poorly. Plague Town went really well. Sunken Harbor went really well. Saved a little time, but you can't save that much time on Sunken Harbor. Ancient Forest went not bad, but not great. I think, you know, was that like a 5-second time loss or a little under 5 seconds or something? That's not terrible. Ancient Forest is kind of a shit show. I'm always just hoping for key skip. And my gold split, I think, on Ancient Forest is with key skip. Or maybe this might have been a gold because I saved time. Because it's like 5 seconds faster. Was I saying it was slower? Because it's 5 seconds faster. Because I saved a little time, but uh, there's an easy gold on Ancient Forest if I just get key skip and then don't take any stupid deaths or something. Standing Stones went faster, and I largely attribute that to the different strategy that I used. Stone Golem ended up going faster, which I also largely attribute to a strategy that I unintentionally seem to leverage. I never thought about getting an extra attack from the Golem to get the summoners to try and get in front of him. I like that. That worked out really well. And then the rest of the run was kind of business as usual, except for things just being cleaner. Imperial City, Imperial Palace were pretty normal. It's a little slow on Palace, but that's okay. Throne Room was a gold because the middle room just went a little better. Imperial Dungeon, I think, is the next one. And which one's that one again? You drop down the hole and then, I don't know, that went a little faster. What's Imperial? Why can't I remember? It's before Dungeon Deeps. That's this one. Oh, I think this went faster because I was using the slam attack. I think that saved a ton of time. Because that I was knocking enemies in holes like crazy. How fast can I make this go? Yeah. Dungeon Deeps went faster because the gate and the troll fight went well, but we lost a little time from the death. So, like, Dungeon Deeps, we save a ton of time. Underworld Crossing was pretty normal. It was a tad slower because I got bad death warps, but that's fine. Crystals went fine. I think we gold by a couple seconds, 2.4. It was just a clean run through. And then Caldera, I don't remember what my split time on Caldera was, but I don't think it was anything super exceptional. Might have been in gold, but like 2.3 gold. It was just a nice Caldera. I didn't take a silly death or anything, so I might have actually even saved time by dying a little earlier, just because dying while I'm pushing the stones, like, it can be kind of awkward getting back on them, so I guess that might save a little time. Yeah, all in all, pretty good. That's my sort of analysis of the run and sort of an explanation of everything that I go through. There's some other, like, more specifics on some of the tricks and like strats that I use in a video that I have called Gauntlet Tips. It's a couple of videos behind this one and behind this run's upload. And that video just outlines like what I'm doing and what my route looks like. Some of the biggest differences between what I do and what I'm seeing other people do is I buy lunge. I have a very specific gold route in order to get that to happen. I think I'm going to modify a little bit to get more of my gold on Sunken Harbor. I want to pick up more of my gold on Sunken Harbor and less on Shipbuilder, because like pulling the lever and then running up to the chest here is like a little bit of a time loss. It's like, you know, it's very small, but like I could be running down during this and I'm not. And then the chests on Shipbuilder are just a little more annoying and slightly more out of the way to pick up, because I have to like wait for the collision to go away. So like when you see me pick up this chest, you know, I have to circle around to pick that up, and then you see me pick up the other two chests at the end, and I usually pick up this one to the right here too, but I forgot about it, so I picked these two up. And again, I'm waiting for the collision to go away on those, so like maybe I just skip all those, and instead I pick up in Sunken Harbor. So I would end up picking up this gold for 50, because I think I need at least 150, but like we can pick up all 200 gold, because we just need enough gold for lunge, and that 50 I think is enough. If you pick up all the gold that I normally pick up in Shipbuilder, that 50 alone is enough. But we're basically forced into picking up 100 gold on this level, so just pick up another 100 and you're fine. So there's 50, and we don't really have a choice there. We kind of have to pick that up. And then I open this chest along the way, so I can just do this every time. Open that chest, losing basically 0 time at all, and then also open this chest, do the same thing, lose 0 time. Like, you take a slightly, like, worse line, I guess, but it seems better than the Shipbuilder gold. So then I can come pick up this gold, kick my way through these guys, and then you pick up the 50 gold at the end as well. So I hit the catapult, go across the bridge, destroy the spawners, and then there's this gold right here. You gotta pick up. I don't know why I'm not going for the top chest. I always take a low line here and take a wide arc. I don't know why I do that. That's silly. I should go for the top chest and the top spawner. Like, I should kill the top spawner. But that would... Because, like, I end up with 300 gold because of the extra gold I picked up just because I panicked. Because I was like... I didn't really panic. I didn't know how much gold I had because I knew I skipped at least one chest. And then I started asking myself, like, wait, I'm not paying a lot of attention here. How much gold did I pick up then? How much did I skip? How much did I pick up? So, I would probably do that for my gold route to make it just a little bit easier because you can pick up all the gold you need on that next level. So, like, just don't pick up any in shipbuilder because, like, what's the point? And then that sets you up with lunch for Ancient Forest. And then I gotta hit key skip at the end of, or the middle of Ancient Forest. And then we'll be good to go. Or we can find out how to clip through this log. Because key skip happens, I never look over far enough, but key skip happens right there. But there's a log there and a rock. This level is just a big circle that you go around, and then you teleport onto the other side of the log, and you go around halfway again. So, if, if we ever find something funky with, like, maybe spawning in allies or enemies or, like, hitting you or something that gets us to break the collision there and you can get through that log, that's a big time save. This is one of the only levels where I feel like we can guarantee that, like, we know this level's a big circle. We know that if we get to the other side of it, we save a bunch of time. I guess we don't know. Maybe there's a check that says, like, don't spawn the key and activate the teleporter unless you've already opened the gates, but I doubt it. And then you'd still have to teleport over here and run around killing spawners and getting through gates, but, like, presumably then we could just go to the boss? I don't know. But that's kind of a pipe dream. I mean, we've never broken the collision to, like, walk through a wall like that, so I don't know. But that's it. That's my analysis on this run. That's why, those are all the details on why it went good in some areas, why it went bad in some areas, where the time saves can happen. We have a new sum of best of 5520, which gives me the confidence to say I think 54 is totally going to happen. We don't even have a 55 run yet, but this could have easily been a 55 if I just cleaned up a couple little things. And then, like, imagine some of the bigger time saves on top of, like, us doing more exploration on, like, how to speed up certain sections. Standing stones near the end, I bet there's a way to go about brute forcing that without killing all the spawners and stuff. That would save a bunch of time. So things like that I think would be great for just making this run faster and potentially getting a sub 55, like getting a 54 something. So, but the 55 is very much in reach, so 5603 is great. So that's everything.